Hello everyone, thank you for attending to this ClayU webinar. So the idea is to show you the main features of ClayU, and for that I'm going to open the Rhino, in this case Matrix Gold. Remember that ClayU is a Rhino plugin and it's included in Matrix Gold, but also it can be used as a standalone plugin inside Rhino. So at this point, I'm going to create a ring, and I'm going to show you trying to cover all the main features of ClayU. So I'm going to start by turning on the ClayU mode, and you will see that when we turn on ClayU mode, we will have this viewport toolbar in here, and this will allow us to control the ClayU object. So in this case, we are on sub D. I'm going to start with a ring. So here under creation, we have this signet ring option. So I'm going to define my ring. We have here all the different options to define the size, the ring size, and of course the measurements. At this point, I'm going to define to keep the default. It's okay, and I'm going to work a little bit on the details. First thing I want to do, this is a solid ring. I'm going to create here in the top a recessed area to then apply some relief. And of course, now the first thing I want to do is, as it is a solid ring, I'm going to hollow it. So I'm going to select the inside faces. You will see that we have here the different selection mode types. At this point, I am on faces selection mode. So we can select all the faces. In this case, is the faces I want to remove. And so with all the other ones. And now what I'm going to do is to use the shell tool. The shell can be found under Edition. Here it is, shell, and automatically will delete the selected faces and try to hollow the ring. And of course, we can define the thickness or directly here in the command line, we can type the measurements we want. So in this case, I define the thickness, and looks good. Of course, we will be able to work a little bit more in here. I just want inside to push it down a little bit. So I select these 4 faces. You see that automatically the gumball appeared, the ClayU gumball on the faces. So I can put these faces a little bit down. We can check here in the front view exactly the position. And all this is because I want to create here in the top a recessive area. So I'm going to, maybe first thing I'm going to do is to select all these loop of faces and divide them, create here a division. So divide, we have another division here in the top. So now I'm going to be able to move this down, and you will see why I created this division, because when we move this down, what will happen is that in here stays a very, very sharp corner. So this division will allow me, I'm going now to edges selection mode, and it will allow me to scale with the gumball, to scale, in this case 2D scale, a little bit inside, and you will see that this will be more smooth. So we are looking more this kind of shape. So after this, I'm going to adjust a little bit more here the inside faces. I can select them and once again scale a little bit just to make this wall exactly as I want. So now you can see the shape we have here. It's the ring, the solid ring. And for this part, what I've been using so far is sub-D. In ClayU, as if you are familiar with it, in ClayU we have three different possibilities or technologies that allow us to model. So this is the first one, the subdivision, and also we have the emboss, mainly for reliefs, as well as sculpt. So in the last webinar, I've been mainly focused on the subdivision tools. In this one, I'm just creating this ring with the subdivision tools, and now we will create the other parts using the other different technologies. In case if you have any question, feel free to write here on the chat. You have here the possibility to make any questions to us, and we will be happy to assist on anything we can. So back to our model, what I'm going to do now, since I have the ring, the part, the main body of the ring done, I can turn off sub D. So I just click on the sub D icon, and this means that I don't have no longer the ClayU toolbar in the viewport. This is disabled. You can see now my object is a regular mesh. If anytime we need to come back to the edition mode, we just turn on ClayU again, and you will be able to come back to the edition. Otherwise, at this point, I can hide it. And what I'm going to do now is to hide it, and I'm going to create the relief in the top. The relief, we will use the emboss. The emboss, it's also part of ClayU, and it's based on curves. So before we start applying the reliefs, we need to have the design or the curves done in Rhino to be able to apply the reliefs. I've created here already some curves. These curves are flat, as you can see, and the idea is to apply some reliefs to it. And I'm going then to create, to put this object in the top of the ring. So mainly what I'm going to focus now is on the emboss tools. So first thing is to turn on the clay emboss, and it will ask us to define the project settings. Mainly what we can define in here is how we want the result. So it can be a mesh but with thickness, it can be asymmetric in the top and the bottom, or a flat cap in the back. So in this case, we can choose also this means this rectangular, the area where our curves are in, so we can adjust, as well as the resolution. And once the projects are, the settings are defined, remember that any moment we can come here and adjust whatever we need. So I can start now with my reliefs. You will see that now emboss, we have all the options right here on the side panel, and it will work with the operations. So we need to add one operation. In this case, we have one operation in here, but we need to define what it is and where it will be applied. So what I'm going to choose in this case is we have operation type, and we have the operation curve. So the curve, if I click on the curve, I need to select one curve to apply this operation. So I select one of these curves, in this case, the outside curve, enter, and it will show us this profile. As you can see, we can adjust the height, we can adjust the profile exactly as we want, and it will be applied to the selected curve. So I just refresh, and as you can see now, the result from this first profile, it's here. So the idea is to keep adding more and more details, in this case, based on these curves. So what I'm going to do, the next step is to add another operation, and now the curve I'm going to select is, for instance, this one. So exactly the same process, I just define the height I want, and the profile, we have a huge library of profiles you can choose. Then from here, I'm going to keep using the default one, and once again, I just refresh, and you will see that it will create our second profile. If it is too much, we can adjust, and then we will be able to clean all these edges. So I'm going to keep going. We can hide the previous gumballs in each operation. And my next step now, it will be the horn. So I select this and this, enter the height of the curve, looks good, refresh, and we have here the horns. So as you can see, operation by operation, curve by curve, we are adding our details to the model. So the next one we are going to do, it will be this curve. So I will select this curve and enter here. And now once again, I can add the profile, in this case a little bit, and refresh. So as you can see, we are adding our details. Now I'm going to add another one. And now the funny thing is that we will have, instead of adding to raise the relief, we will go in the opposite direction. So I'm going to select the curves, this one, and this one, enter. And now what I'm going to define in the settings is, instead of being add, I'm going to define subtract. So this means that it goes down, so I can define my profile here, refresh, and as you can see now, it's this kind of details that you can keep playing with. So the next step, I'm going to add the eyes. So let's select the curve. As you can see, always the same process, select an operation, and then the curves you want to use in this operation. In this case, in the project settings, I will do the same, subtract, and here we go with a profile, refresh, and as you can see, this is the result. So the last ones, I believe it's almost, and we will define the last touch details under sculpting. So in here, I can add one more curve, and I'm going to add this one, these ones, and finally these ones. So now I believe all are ready. Just adjust the profile, height, and refresh. All right, so looks good. Of course, we could increase here the height, refresh again, see if need any adjustment. But it looks what I was looking for. Of course, I will adjust the final details with the sculpting with some brushes. So from the emboss part, this is mainly what I wanted to show you, what we can do with emboss tools. So this is this kind of reliefs that we are creating. So finally, to finish with emboss, I just click OK to apply the object to the document. And now what I'm going to do is bring back the ring and adjust the scale of this object to be in the top of my ring. So I wanted something like this. Here looks good. And of course, we need also the position here. And I think we are okay. Let's take a look on the perspective. Of course, in here, we barely can see it because the mesh is very detailed. So I'm going to change here the display mode. Maybe this one will be better. And we are very close from the result I wanted to show you. What I also want to do now is to use the sculpting tools. So the sculpt, it's here, the sculpt menu. So we just enable the sculpting. In this case, let me just select the object. So the objects I want to sculpt in this case will be just this bull head. And you will see that now what we will be able to do is we will have, again, in this viewport toolbar, some brushing tools. So the idea is to use these brushing tools in our model. What we can do is, let me just see if I can show. You can see here, this is the mesh resolution. In some display modes, you can see it. So this resolution is more than enough to start sculpting. If the resolution is not so good, I recommend you to subdivide in here. You can always increase the resolution. But for this case, as it is okay, I'm going back to my display mode I had, and I'm going now to the smooth. First thing, I'm going to smooth. We can increase here the radius and the intensity of our brush, and also we can make it symmetric. So I'm going now to start with this brushing tools. As you can see, we can smooth all these sharp edges from our model. So this is the kind of the game that allow you to go to these details that other way it would be hard to do it in NURBS, and ClayU really allow you to do this organic modeling in a very easy way, as you can see. So I'm now with these details brushing here, these sharp corners. I want it more smooth. If you want more intensity, we can do it even more. So as you can see, these parts, we can adjust every detail as we want. Here is probably still too much. We can smooth. At this point, I'm just with a smooth, but we have many more brushes in the options from the in this case the sculpt. So we will be able to give some more details if we need. So for instance, if I want, here is too much, I'm just defining here the radio, so we can here give some more brushes, maybe need a little bit more intensity. And let's see, as you can see, we could adjust here. Of course, we would need always to smooth a little bit more to give more texture to this. But mainly, this is the idea. Here, it's a little bit more smooth. And here we go. So mainly are these three different possibilities inside ClayU. I really hope you enjoy it. If you are looking for organic, for a tool to design your organic models, I believe ClayU will be a very helpful tool. So I just click OK, and here we go. This is the result. We could create now a nice rendering here. Let's just hide these curves and maybe apply some materials. For instance, in this one, we could use the yellow gold, and then environment. And as you can see now, we could define the render resolution. Let's choose here some nice resolution, the position, and render our model. And mainly this is what I wanted to show you in this webinar. If you have any questions, please let us know. We will dedicate these last 5-10 minutes to answer your questions. So feel free to let us know your feedback. We will be happy to help you. Thank you.